we're got the ghost's hand dropping droplets on us here, saying, don't record that. Anyhow, another electrical instance. This will be one where I'm talking about a person, and I hope that it's for educational purposes. It doesn't come off as, well, it's non-specific, it's not mean or anything anyhow. And just on the topic, the guy actually did cool stuff for me. Never saw me as somebody to take out until one day I inadvertently threatened his stasis. And that's when things just went south. But all in all, I have good feelings about the guy in general. Don't have bad feelings about the guy, I'll just say that. But we've talked about a guy who was particularly incremental, not criminal, incremental, particularly present and pertinent to a major situation for myself in a realm that's difficult to quantify. And he happens to be the guy who said what I was saying in my head, like word for word. So, and this was it was a Don Miguel Ruiz. I was telling myself, always do your best. This is one of those instances where you're not able to not feel personal about this. So block it out, do your best to just don't get sucked into this. And he said, hey guys, always do your best. Later on, he mentioned a Chrysler that was driven by the black guys that I saw in Fast Trip, and just because I thought of them as black, it made me real feel guilty or something, for noticing them as anything other than people, We're talking just a place where that, and honestly, anymore, I can't help but notice we have more black people around than we used to. And at the time, it would have been somewhat atypical. These guys were particularly, cool walkers or whatever. If you were going to go and try and swat some shots, you'd want this guy's body, and if you were going to go to the club and hope to buy a girl a drink or something, you'd want this guy's car, swag or whatever. Well, all I had to do was notice that, and they said, bringing that bullshit up in here. One guy looked at the other, he's like, huh? And I don't know, it was just a thing where I was ringing, I was in that, don't think, no pink elephant, and bada boom. Anyhow, that guy up at the place that I worked who called out my words verbatim, he had been shocked by lightning. And I didn't pay too much attention. See, it would get into this thing where they talk about video games and stuff, and it felt like they were making innuendous reference to me or something, shaman power and all this. And it was bad. I mean, it was an unfortunate breakdown of events, and unfortunately, I wasn't in the mode to discuss it. Like, I had come in to vanish from social drama, and so otherwise I probably would have just said, listen, can I talk to you? It's going to get crazy, but maybe you can, understand where I'm coming from on this, and then we won't have the same drama. But I was just too committed to, it's not real, it's not me, so it's not real, Turned into a power struggle. But I just thought it was interesting that he made mention of an electrical shock. And it seemed as though he almost indicated that that might have given him a different level of perception, given him his powers, you know. The whole thing was unfortunate. He was a highly familial type of guy, though. Somebody who, if you never did him wrong and you got in on his side, you are going to have somebody who will do any fucking thing. They are never going to, you know, very alliance oriented. And again, like I said, those guys all had been victimized, it sounded like. Been eliminated. Who knows, maybe they had some not reptilians come in and say, you got too much going here, guys. We're gonna have to send you over to blow this kid up, because one of these days he's gonna fucking blast our ass. Figure out that mummies is a way of saying, your mama, but me, you, mama, all over my hot dog down. So anyway, that's that. We had a few things we addressed that unfortunately got swiped out. I'm not going to be able to show you the pickle fork trick, because I do not need moisture on this phone, yeah. Yeah, that's going to do it for now. I can't do much How's This Mini. It sucks. I had a oil change. I had a pickle fork trick. And this neat little project we got going here. But that aspect of our presentation isn't advisable at the moment. Because this cracked screen gets some moisture in it, and I get the... So, enjoy. Wish me no electrocution. I better watch myself, huh? Watch myself under them trees. I've only heard thunder echoing off of the shattering firmament. What's the deal with that anyways? I never heard about that until the conspiracy started. Or the... Supposedly a bunch of you have been thinking the world's flat this whole time? I didn't know that. I didn't realize that that's sort of a requisite. If you're going to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you have to think that there's a dome over us and that all the planets can be viewed with your technology and will present as accurate through a freaking million years. Or, you know, some of those might be several minutes. I think it's 8 minutes, they say, it takes for the sun's rays to actually reach here, supposedly. It's kind of wild. Half of your stars could be burned out, huh? If they're actually stars. By the way, you know who I'm talking about. I'm pretty, well, I hate to think that I'm one of those who would stir up your discontent. But if that's what happened and you went to vent, don't get me wrong, I know there's some aesthetics, some visual aesthetics which are great for you guys. I do get a sense of youth. Or, you know, a sense of non-loss type of thing. And it's a pretty sweet little tune. I like it. Which means nothing, except I'm sorry about the tub. Alright, Tube E